I'm going to go through the Pennsylvania Boating Handbook with you right now. This is information that you are required to know for the test at the end of the unit. It is a 50 points multiple choice test, and a lot of the information in this handbook we are unable to demonstrate in the water. It's a lot of cognitive information. As you can see, I have a PDF of the handbook that you should have in your hands right now with a highlighter highlighting all the key information that we are going to go over. Chapter 1, the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission is basically like the McCandless Police. They can do anything to you on the water that the police can do to you outside the water. Recreational boating in Pennsylvania is becoming more and more popular. From 1982 to 2011, almost 100,000 or so more boating opportunities going on. There's a lot of different opportunities, the different water trails, waterways. Some perhaps you're already familiar right here in Western Pennsylvania. There's some terminology, and this is stuff that we will be able to cover as we introduce the canoes, but understanding what part of the bow, the stern, the port, starboard parts of the boat, the bilge, and the gunnels are also terminology that you will be expected to know. Legal requirements. As a boat operator, obviously this license, you would be considered a boat operator, so you now have to be aware of the legal requirements or the responsibilities. Basically, as a boat operator, you're responsible for knowing the rules and the regulations, knowing the waters where you're boating, having the required safety equipment for your boat, as well as being responsible for all of the actions of the persons on board your boat. There are 4 major classifications of boats, and actually this license will allow you to operate any one of those 4, all the way from the red to the purple. Boat operation requirements. You may see this little text box or this little comment box. This is perhaps makes this highlighted area a little more important. You may see this information on the test at the end of the units. The boat operator in Pennsylvania, you need to realize that it is illegal to operate a boat at greater than slow no-wake speed. First, you need to understand slow no-wake speed is that slowest possible speed, so you create no wave or wake behind you. But you must realize that you must be going slow enough whenever you are within at least 100 feet of pretty much anything. Shoreline, docks, launch ramps, swimmers, down skiers, just about anything. All right, another test question you may see is the understanding that it is illegal to, in Pennsylvania, operate a motorboat less than 20 feet in length at greater than slow no-wake speed while someone is standing in or on the boats. Obviously, that is when potential for somebody getting hurt. As you can see, I am skipping through material. There's a lot of very useful information in here, and certainly as a boat operator, you are required to understand what that material or information is. Certainly too much for us to be able to go through in this unit, so we are going to highlight very key information. Boating education is mandatory. Certainly knowledgeable boaters are safe boaters. What you do need to understand is that you need this license to operate a personal watercraft, to operate those classifications. But if you were born prior to 1982, you do not need this license. This is basically what the license is going to look like a little credit card. And just like your driver's license, you are expected to have it with you. The same is for this certificate. It is a lifetime license, so you will not have to do anything to reapply or to recertify yourself. Personal flotation devices, PFDs, certainly that is the difference on the water between life and death. There are lots of requirements that you need to understand. First, all boaters must have, all boats must have a U.S. Coast Guard approved wearable life jacket on board for each person. That is the law. So if there are 6 people on board the boat, there must be 6 PFDs. Life jackets also must be appropriately sized for the person intended to wear it. Basically, especially if it's a small child, they should not have a PFD that is meant to be used for an adult. Life jackets must be readily accessible, stowed where they can be easily reached. In addition, wearable life jackets in boats 16 feet and over must have a throwable device. All right, so not only one life jacket on board for every person, but also if the boat is 16 feet or over, it must have a throwable device, ring buoy. We used them, one of those in class with the throwable device, the throw bag. There are different types of PFDs. Type 3 is most common in recreational boating opportunities. Other requirements for life jackets: they should be inspected regularly for tears and damage. If there is any damage, you are to throw the life jacket away. If the buckle doesn't work, the zipper doesn't work, if there's a tear somewhere, it is not usable and it must be thrown away. Who must wear a life jacket? Certainly this is important to know as a boat operator. Children 12 years or younger, basically on any small boats, 20 feet or less, and in all canoes and kayaks. And the other very important information that you will see on the test is that all water skiers or anyone being towed behind a boat, personal watercraft operators, passengers, they also are required to wear a personal flotation device. This is a new law that was just passed a few years ago. Anyone on small boats from November 1st to April 30th must wear a PFD. That is simply because of the cold water and certainly the likelihood of hypothermia. PFDs are required for anyone in small boats during that time. All right, boat registration. All motorboats and boats powered by electric motors must be registered. This is a test question. So just like you register your car, the expectation is that your boat is registered. Forms, permits, titling. As a boat operator, you need to be responsible for that information. Capacity plates. I like to make the analogy of a capacity plate on the boat is very similar to that. As an elevator, you see how many people, the weight, so on and so forth. The capacity plate provides important information. These 4 things: maximum weight capacity, maximum horsepower, maximum person capacity by number, and maximum person capacity by weight. You will be expected to know that on the test. And basically the understanding that no boat shall be loaded beyond its safe carrying capacity. Certainly that is when bad things can happen. Operating your boat at night. The requirements are that all vessels must show required running lights between the hours of sunset, sunrise, and during periods of restricted visibility. So just like when you would be expected to turn your headlights on in the car at night, you would be expected to do the same in the boats. There are different types of lights. This is the diagram. Certainly as an operator, you need to know and understand what they all mean. There are certain lights that are used when you are anchored. and that is actually an all-around white light. That is not noted in the book here, but it is definitely noted on the test. All boats must display an all-around white anchor light between sunset, sunrise. Certainly simply because if you don't have it on and you're not moving, then they're not going to know you're there. All right, we're going to move here through to visual distress signals, VDS. Visual distress signals are obviously used when you need help. The key to using them in Pennsylvania is that the requirement of having them on your boat is only when and if you are operating your boat on Lake Erie. Certainly the vast, huge body of water that it is, that signal is necessary to have for emergency situations. This is all required information or required equipment, depending on the size of the boats, that you should have as a boat operator. It's kind of a checklist that you could use. Fire extinguishers, there are different types. Obviously, with gas on a boat, you are required to have a Class B type fire extinguishers, which are obviously meant to put out flammable liquids or gases. All right, the idea of leaving a float plan. Let others know before you leave. The idea is that you tell somebody where you're going before you leave, so in case something was to happen, they knew exactly where to look for you. They talk about a reliable person. Certainly that reliable person would be a relative or a friend that you would let know where you're going and when you expect to be back. Boarding a boat, stability is very important, and we are going to get first-hand experience with this as we use the canoes and kayaks in the water. So we will talk more about that as we use the boats in the water. But the boat's capacity, once again, should never be exceeded. It should never be overloaded. Certainly the boat could sink, capsize. When you are docking your boat, the requirement is that you dock the boat, obviously attaching it to the dock as well as the bow of the boat. That's the expectation. You always dock and connect the line to the bow of the boat. There are some aids to navigations. Certainly on the water there are no red lights, green lights, yellow lines separating two sides of the water. So but there are some various aids, sorry about that, to navigation. Bear with me. And those aids are signs that you will see in the water, and they are meant to obviously tell you what it is that you should or should not be doing. Boats keep out is the diamond with the cross in the middle, basically telling you that you're not allowed in this area for some reason. And then the circle, the rounded circle, is a controlled area, which basically is going to tell you something. The speed limit, no fishing, no anchoring, something along those lines. I will